What's up guys, welcome back. My name's Warren. I am a banker here in London and a property investor across the UK. My goal is to have all of my living costs covered by my income from property and to live freely in the next 5 years. So I'm looking to get to £3,000 a month from property. If that's your goal and you're looking to live free from property as well, follow me and subscribe. I make content all about that. So today guys is a response video to a comment on one of my past videos, right? I love it when you comment on my videos. All feedback is welcome, especially the ones that challenge my belief. Today I'm looking at a comment that was made from a chap who looks to be based in Manchester, and he said that buy to let is a bad idea.
Jesus Christ.
My guy is challenging my existence, my raison d'etre. He's challenging, you know, what this channel is for. But it's good because when you encounter people who disagree with you, it causes you to really go back and think, hey, actually, you know, why do I do what I do? Why do I believe what I believe? And it gives you a healthy level of challenge. So let's have a look at that comment, right? I blurred out his name and his profile, but what we can see here is buy-to-let should not be encouraged in my honest opinion. I am from Manchester, yes, so he's definitely from Manchester, and housing is becoming expensive. I feel your pain, bro. I live in London here because Southerners, us evil Southerners, us London fat cats, are doing buy-to-let. Local people, regardless of race, are being priced out of their own city. That's not a good thing. Southerners should stay in London. I'm sorry, I'm not, the wording just gets me. And make things cheaper. How do we make things cheaper in London? Don't ruin other cities. Plus, you should buy a home to live in, not just invest, pricing locals out. So let's break this down into chunks, right? He has some valid points and some valid concerns that a lot of us in other cities feel too, so I feel him on some points and not necessarily on others. So let's start with the core of his gripe, his core point. Housing is becoming expensive due to Southerners doing buy-to-let. Local people are being priced out of their own city. And he's specifically talking about Manchester. Now, Manchester is the top performing property city in the UK. It's grown by 80% in the last 10 years and 10% in the last year alone. It is the goldmine location, right, for buy-to-let in the UK. It has done bits. I went to uni in Manchester and I was there just as they were starting, you know, building this huge building project across the whole city, and you know, they've done that basically ever since. So he is having a particularly pronounced experience in Manchester because it is the top city in the UK as far as property and price growth goes. So we need to take that into account first and foremost, but he can't help where he lives. But yeah, he calls out Southerners specifically. Now, is this huge growth over the last 10 years due to us greedy Southerners making our way up on the M6 or, you know, Virgin train and, you know, flooding their city with our wads of cash and driving up the price of property? Well, let's look at some articles, guys. Now, I found an article on the manchester.gov.uk website. It was an article called the Greater Manchester Strategic Housing Market Assessment. It really talks about their plan for how they want to go ahead with, you know, housing in the city. Really interesting part of it says that the two main drivers of the housing market are the resident population and the local labour market. No mention of fat cat Southerners here, and they affect the nature of housing demand, including household formation rates and household investment in housing. So what do they mean by this? If you read the rest of the article, what they are basically saying is that it's actually the people who live in the city that drives the housing market, and they draw specific attention to the resident population and the labor market. So where there is business, guys, where businesses are setting up offices and offering services and production, there tends to be a corresponding build out and growth of housing in that area. That's why if you're looking, you know, to buy property and you're looking at all-weather portfolio properties, so properties that can really well withstand, you know, ups and downs in the market, one of the fundamentals that you look at is local businesses and transport links. Why? Because where there are businesses, there needs to be workers. You need to have a pool of workers close to your business. You're not going to set up a huge Canary Wharf style office on the Isle of Wight because there's nobody there to work there, right? And Manchester has a huge demographic. They have one of the biggest universities in the whole of Europe, and their population is young. It's a thriving city, and that is a goldmine area for businesses because they have access to a pool of workers. It makes sense for them to relocate there, and then property developers, the big developers say, oh, okay, businesses, people, makes sense. It's a no-brainer for us to go there and build hundreds, even thousands of houses. So it's people and businesses really, really that drive the growth in building of properties and the corresponding growth in property prices in most areas, not just in Manchester, not just in London, but throughout the world, right? It's a pattern. It's like a universal constant, guys. And I alluded to this already, but I said that Manchester has a young population. If we go to these articles in the Manchester Evening News and in Soyb, we can see that 24.5%, almost a quarter of all Manchester residents, guys, are now aged 20 to 29, according to new analysis or population figures released earlier this year. What did I just say, guys, about young workers, people in their prime, ready to work? 25%, and Manchester is a big city, guys. And then we can also see in Soyb, a large population of under 30s are moving into Manchester. So not just the people there are people coming into Manchester or the Northern Powerhouse. In 2020, Manchester, Greater Manchester, was home to more 25 to 29-year-olds than any other region in the UK. 67 million people in the UK. Any other region, Manchester has the most 25 to 29-year-olds, according to data from the Office for National Statistics. So guys, it is absolutely no surprise that you're going to see house builders flocking up to Manchester, building houses, pushing up the price. It's not down to us Southerners. And then when investors like me down south and many others, not just down south by the way, in the UK, globally, because people across the world invest in Manchester, when they see this growth in the demographic of 20 to 30-year-olds, when they see businesses going and setting up shop in Manchester, when they see the house builders saying, okay, that is a good environment, it's a good area to start building loads of houses, then we follow them. So it's less so us investors going up to Manchester and being like, hey, you know, take a punt, let's invest in some houses. It's us seeing what's happening and then following that trend. We follow the growth, we don't create the growth, okay? And then when you look at the landlord data for the HMRC, we can see that there are 10,260 landlords in Manchester. That's less than 1% of the 1.2 million households that are in Manchester. So just to spell it out really clearly, less than 1% of the people, the households in Manchester are actual landlords, okay? 99% of the people in Manchester are just normal residents, people who live in houses, go about their daily business, go to work, live their lives, come home, eat, sleep, all of that kind of good stuff. So is less than 1% enough to affect the prices across the whole of the whole city, the whole of Manchester? Is less than 1% of anything enough to affect the other 99%? Sometimes yes. You know, if that less than 1% were, say, all billionaires, which they clearly aren't, then perhaps they could potentially affect the prices of all of the property across Manchester. But the answer on this occasion is no. Less than 1% of residents in Manchester being landlords is not enough to affect property prices across the whole of the city, okay? They're just not that influential, they're just not that powerful enough to influence prices across the whole city. And then lastly, back to the Manchester Gov report, really interesting article. So it says that similarly, the structure of the economy is shifting towards the service sector, which is having an impact on the future demand profile for housing. Really interesting. So essentially, as an economy, most economies, global economies, over time move from manufacturing towards services. There's still manufacturing in, you know, every country, but what you see from more advanced economies globally, or countries should we say, they tend to have a higher proportion of their economy in the services sector, stuff like IT and tech, banking, engineering, legal services, all of those industries that don't necessarily involve us tilling the land, extracting raw materials and making stuff out of them. Very important industries, but the profit margins on services tend to be a lot greater than manufacturing. And what we're seeing in the Manchester microeconomy is that they're basically trending towards what London is. London is a predominantly service-based microeconomy in the UK, and Manchester is going that way. They're moving from manufacturing, which they traditionally was in the past, towards services. And the net effect of that is that people have more money in the city. People buy houses, drives the prices of all goods and services, including housing, up, and thus you see a growth in the price of property in that region. And of course that links back to the other article that we saw not so long ago, that the price of houses is really governed by the people and labour and the wages that they get from that. So guys, in summary, really good piece of feedback. I completely sympathise with the guy who left that comment, regardless of the reason, right? It is not helpful when prices of property in your area, in your city, in your town are doing that. It's the same in London, guys. You know, my wife and I are going to have to move out soon, and we're going to need more space, and we cannot afford a 2, 3, 4 bed in London. We're going to have to move out eventually. Why? Because it is too expensive. But can I blame that on investors? No, it is just London as a city. London is the capital of the UK. It's one of the capital cities of the world. So of course, people from all over the world are going to be coming into London. Businesses are here. It has a massive economy, and that always tends to have a inflationary effect on prices. So unless we win the lottery, we'll probably move out of London at some stage in the future too. And of course, to answer the biggest question, is buy-to-let a bad idea? Should it be discouraged? Well, you guys probably know what I think of that. Of course it shouldn't. We live in a capitalist economy, right? Capitalism is not a perfect model. It's not at all. However, what I have seen as an economist, as someone who studied economy at school, someone who works in banking, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And for me, the best way to have a quality of life, a good quality of life, to not work until I'm 60 and on my last legs, to have more time with my family, with my friends, to pursue my passions, to grow spiritually, to do more for my church and my community, is to invest in assets that produce an income and live on my own terms and live free. So I hope you found this video useful. Please do continue to comment and challenge me on my beliefs, my videos. If you disagree, I love it. I think it's healthy to have dialogue and discussion. And who knows, I might make a video on it at some point in the future. I'll see you guys soon. Like and subscribe. I'm out.